With so many escapes that have been taking place this year during a time in the year referred to as escape season, when the weather begins to change and get warmer for whatever reason, it just seems like more guys risk it all for the biscuit all to get out of jail for free. Kind of. Except until they get caught. But with so many escapes taking place this year, there's also been a ton of people who have been getting caught. And only a very select few, the likes of Antoine Massey and Derek Groves, as of late, who kind of have seemed to get away. And it's those particular stories that I personally find the most interest in. And the story I'm getting ready to share with you here today is about a guy that has been on the run for over 30 years. And ironically, was just recently apprehended, like within the last couple of days. How do you make it for over 30 years and then get caught? And where this guy was just recently apprehended in relation to where he escaped from, I'm quite certain you're going to find to be pretty crazy. But before we go any further, I want to take a moment and tell you about Raid Shadow Legends, an awesome cross-platform game available for both PC and mobile devices, and it's absolutely free to play. Folks, we've been given an exclusive download link located down below, or using this QR code right here, where you can download this game for yourself, and if you do so, you're gonna get an exclusive gift. You know, I've talked about Raid before here on After Prison Show, and it's crazy to think that even in 2025, this game is still as good as it ever was, with over 5 million monthly players. This game offers a lot of different battle-like styles of play, things like campaign mode and dungeons. Also, some of the most advanced PvE mode available. There's also clan bosses and an arena. Raid Shadow Legends has AAA graphics and an endless amount of content that can keep you entertained for hours. It also offers tons of different champions, the characters that you collect and upgrade, that are going to help you to further advance throughout this game. And what makes this game so fun for me personally is the fact that someone can just jump right in and within a short amount of time see real progression. I also like the fact that I can autoplay and 2 times the gameplay, meaning that I can just sit back and watch as I progress throughout the game without having to do a whole bunch of screen tapping. There's a lot of different factions that the many champions are grouped under. These different factions all offer personalized traits and qualities that are helpful in numerous ways, whether to your own personal clan or are extremely useful for the many different varieties of gameplay. And one such faction is the Barbarians, fierce warriors with raw survival power. And many of these barbarian champions are extremely versatile. Great for clan bosses, dungeons, arenas, and a lot more. There's a ton of different character variety in this faction, with each champion completely unique in its own way. A few of my personal favorites are Tavold and Elder Scrag. I just personally like both of these champions for the fact that they carry these big badass swords that I know are gonna dish out mega destruction during battle. Folks, again, if you use that exclusive After Prison Show link down below or this QR code right here, you're gonna immediately get a huge starter pack with an ultimate Galek champion from the Orcs faction. This guy is very strong due to his ability to reduce turn meter and overall just a really strong epic champion. And you're also gonna get another starter pack once you reach level 15, which you're gonna do so pretty quickly. And that's gonna include an epic Zargala champion, also of the Orcs faction as well, which is a great pairing for that ultimate Galek champion. This epic Zargala is also one of the strongest force affinity supports that you're definitely going to want to have in your collection. And folks, after downloading the game using our exclusive link or QR code, go ahead and enter in promo code Desert Queen, and you're also going to get another legendary champion for free. This one right here, Tahanarak, another powerful legendary support champion who is going to help you out big time throughout battles. Folks, you can also find me in the game under username APS Joe, and if you're interested in joining our exclusive clan, go ahead and search for us under the clan name After Prison Show. Download Raid Shadow Legends for free today using that download link or QR code right here, and check this game out for yourself. California man escaped from prison 30 years ago and vanished. Cops just found him living a normal life Brace yourself. 150 miles away. Man, you would think if a guy got away and was on the run for 3 decades, he was across the country, potentially across the world. This guy wasn't even really all that far out of the state. Folks, let me introduce you to this individual right here, Ronald Keith Harvey, who back in 1994 escaped from a federal low custody federal prison called FCI Dublin. There's actually a very interesting history about this particular prison, and I don't want to get too far wrapped up in that here today. But just to give you a brief oversight, FCI Dublin is a prison that's no longer operational, has just recently been shut down, I believe earlier this year. During its last years of operation, it was actually a women's federal prison, housing the likes of Lori Loudon and Felicity Huffman, I believe both of which were involved in the college admission scandal. But back in 1994, this was a low-security men's prison, where a prisoner by the name of Ronald Keith Harvey would escape from and remain a fugitive for over 30 years. After more than 3 decades on the run, a 79-year-old California fugitive has been arrested, ending a 31-year manhunt. Ronald Keith Harvey escaped from FCI Dublin in 1994 while serving time in the federal prison for running a large-scale illegal marijuana operation. Authorities say he was arrested with more than 600 marijuana plants and firearms. Folks, with so much regulation and change to legislation involving weed laws, it's crazy to think what this man was sitting in prison for back in 1994 may very well have been something that he was able to do legally here today. How crazy would it be to know that during the 31 years this guy was a fugitive for, he actually was out long enough to see changes in the law take place that could have potentially made what he was arrested for something that he could have very well done today legally. He wasn't cultivating a small amount, Deputy U.S. Marshal Cruz Moya, who has led the long-running case, told the news. It was a pretty big operation he was running. Has this guy Cruz Moya been a U.S. Marshal for 3 decades? He's got to be retired at this point. There are few details about his escape, which that does suck. You know, when you're at a federal prison, I'm not sure how much outside the gate time you actually get, but maybe there's a potential that you do get some. It is a low custody prison where he was being housed at. Maybe he had an outside the fence job, if they even have something like that in the federal prison system. Maybe all this guy really did was just walk off the job. It wasn't really necessarily an escape, you see. He could have just walked off and never came back. And that actually is probably somewhat plausible given what they're going to share in relation to the amount of time he's potentially looking at for this escape. FCI Dublin is a low security female prison today. It's not even open today. It's closed, actually. The facility housed actresses Lori Loudon and Felicity Huffman in recent years for their roles in the college admission scandal. The facility became all women back in 2012. Okay, so it's been a women's prison for a long time. And before that, it housed men. When Harvey escaped, officials had little clue where he went. That was until this year when a new lead earlier this year helped his team track Harvey to Nevada City, a small town roughly 150 miles away from the prison, where he had been leading a normal life. Folks, you look at this before and after picture, looking like before when he was first in prison, and 31 years later, I'd say this guy had a hell of a ride out here in the free world. You know, they also don't mention how much time this guy was in prison for. There are some people who are just better than others at absconding justice and just going on the run, and clearly this guy was definitely one of them. Harvey had been living there since October with a woman named D.V. Brown, who told the news she dated Harvey briefly 35 years ago. Brown claimed she had no idea Harvey was a fugitive and said she even checked with the Nevada County Sheriff's Office monthly to ensure there were no warrants out for his arrest. Lady, if you didn't just incriminate the shit out of yourself with that particular statement, hey, I had no idea he was a fugitive. Whether she did or she didn't, obviously she did. You know, look, let's not get her hemmed up in this situation. I'm sure this guy, Ronald Keith Harvey, doesn't want to see this woman get hemmed up for this. Maybe she called the police on him, though. He had been living with her since October, I'm guessing, of last year. But 35 years ago, they had dated briefly. He's only been on the run for 31 years, so I'm guessing that this was prior to him going to prison. But by her mentioning that she was contacting the sheriff's office every month to see if he had a warrant out for his arrest, wouldn't that make the sheriff's office just a little bit suspicious and want to come check out what's going on? Something about this particular part of the story just isn't adding up for me. I was very shocked, of course, Brown said by phone. He had his own room and he paid rent to me every month. On Thursday, Harvey was taken into custody in Nevada City. He still faces about 4 years of his original sentence. Okay, well, that answers that question. Man, buddy, you escaped and you ain't had but 4 years left to serve, and you was at a low. This joint was a cakewalk, too. They had a freaking tennis court there, baseball field. Looks like from Google Earth, they had quite a bit of rec available at this facility. And if he would have been apprehended early on when he had first escaped, he had certainly have gone to a USP, a major. And his time would have undoubtedly been a hell of a lot worse than it ever could have been at that low. You know, I've heard, and this is just superstition or an old wives' tale, some sort of prison urban legend, so to speak. I don't know if it's at a satellite camp or a low. A satellite camp is even lesser than a low, I believe, in terms of classifications in the federal prison system. But I've heard at one of those particular custody levels, they've got a freaking salad bar. You talk about a salad bar like Ruby Tuesday's salad bar, like a Golden Corral salad bar, because that is boss eating. And you're doing that in prison? For anybody who served time in the federal system, let me know if there's any truth to that. Again, he still faces about 4 years of his original sentence and may receive additional prison time for escape and evading authorities. The average sentence for an escape charge is an additional year in prison. Is the reward worth the risk? In most cases, the risk is certainly not worth the reward. In this particular guy's case, hey, he's lived a good life. God, what if those 31 years on the run sucked, though? And you know he's got to be feeling like a bit of a dummy at this point, because had he just completed his time, prison may very well just be an absolute fleeting memory from his past. But not no more. It's time to rip that Band-Aid right back off and throw your ass right back in prison. And you ain't going to no low this time. I wonder if they're going to give him any kind of consideration for the fact that he remained on the run for 31 years and didn't get in any additional trouble. You know, could that come into play? Where he spent time in years between his 1994 escape and his recent arrest remains unclear. Despite the decades-long gap, Moya says the U.S. Marshal never gave up. One thing about the Marshal Service is that we will find you, no matter how long it takes, he said. Folks, absolutely insane story that I'm just getting the opportunity to learn about, and I wanted to share this with all of you as well. You know, when you think about somebody who remains a fugitive, it just makes sense to think that they would be long gone. And here was this guy, probably for the entirety of those 3 decades, hiding essentially in plain sight, 150 miles away from where he escaped from. Folks, I hope that you found some interest in this, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you think. Hey, if you find yourself here on After Prison Show enjoying this content but not yet subscribed to this channel, please consider doing so and turning on bell notifications so that you never miss an upload from us. It would certainly be appreciated and go a long ways to helping to support this channel. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace!